Good evening, everyone. I would like to acknowledge that yesterday was the one-year anniversary of the discovery of the massed unmarked graves of the First Nations children in Kamloops, BC. We honor the lost, we honor the survivors, and the survivors of the intergenerational trauma caused by the residential schools. Let us have a moment of silence to honor the children whose lives were lost while being forced to attend a residential school. Thank you. I would also like to highlight that the Town Community Centrum will be lit up in blue until Tuesday, May 31st, in recognition of Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. This is an issue that's very close to me. My beloved grandmother suffered from the ravages of Alzheimer's disease. Anything we can do to find a cure, we must do. This disease devastates not only the person suffering from it, but also acutely affects the entire family and support system, in particular the primary caregivers. In good news, I am thrilled to announce that we have hired the town's first recreation program director, who starts at the beginning of June. As a candidate, I campaigned, and I know a number of us around this table campaigned on quality of life and investment in recreation. As a council, we are proud to be following through on key recommendations from our recently adopted Parks and Recreation Master Plan, starting with this key hire. We are building our capacity so we can better serve our residents and grow our town. And related news, we are still also looking for applications for the Community Vitality Committee. And if you're interested in being involved in some of the fun and dynamic things that are going on and that we are planning for our residents, please apply. Volunteers are the lifeblood of any community, and we need and appreciate you. So thank you all for that. Item 4, record of attendance. Let the record reflect that we have a full slate of attendance this evening. Thank you very much. Item 5. Agenda approval. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Bay-Westfield approve the agenda of May 24th, 2022 with the removal of 8B, 11A, and the addition of 11D. The motion? So. Thank you, Councillor Bailmans. A second. Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. On the motion? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 6, disclosure of conflict of interest. Are there any? There being none, we'll move on to item 7, public hearings, presentations, delegations, and petitions. 7A, Curry and Beck, CPA annual audit. We have Nick Malatesdinick here with us today. Nick, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for being here with us this evening.
Thank you very much. Is this good?
That's great.
Thank you. Your Worship, members of council, honored guests and staff, I'm pleased to report that for the year 2021, we have audited the accompanying consolidated financial statements of the town of Bay-Westfield, which comprise the statement of financial position as at December 31st, 2021 and 2020, and the statements of operations and accumulated surplus. In our opinion, the consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the town of Bay-Westfield as at December 31st, 2021 and 2020, the results of its operations, changes in financial assets, and its cash flows for the year that ended in accordance with Canadian public accounting standards. So, in summary, the town enjoyed, or realized, I should say, a operating surplus in the general revenue of $171,898, and in the sewer revenue fund, another operating surplus of $33,603.
Thank you, Nick. Do we have any questions from council or staff? So mostly a new council. We have some veteran members as well. So speaking to a rookie council, do you have any recommendations that we could take with us to make the organization stronger going forward?
I think building on the experience of legacy counselors is one thing. I would say maintaining diligent and keeping your vision while working with the province to meet all the obstacles as they come your way. I think those are the biggest challenges that you will face. And certainly our firm is willing to help in whatever capacity that we can to assist in that, whether it be in transition of roles, or if it's just how to maintain the status quo. And certainly we can offer assistance in business practices where needed.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments from council? Thank you, Nick, we appreciate your time here today and your hard work on our behalf.
Thank you.
The motion on the table is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield audited report and consolidated financial statements as at December 31st, 2020, as prepared by Curry and Betts, and forward to the province for approval. And, now this is going to be a separate motion, John?
No.
Okay. And that the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield Council appoint Curry and Betts as the town auditors for the fiscal year. But these are
2021.
Sorry. I'm gonna reread this so it's proper.
It's 2020.
Yeah. So the motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield audited report and consolidated financial statements as at December 31st, 2021, as prepared by Curry and Betts, and forward to the province for approval, and that the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield appoint Curry and Betts as the town auditors for the fiscal year 2022. I have a motion. Thank you, Councillor Day. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Balcom. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Council. Item 7B, Shining Horizons Therapeutic Riding Association. We have Dave Ryan here with us this evening. Welcome, Dave. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Your Worship. And thank you, Mayor and Council. As mentioned, my name is Dave Ryan. I'm Executive Director of Shining Horizons Therapeutic Riding Association. The goal tonight for Shining Horizons is to create awareness amongst you, and hopefully you'll share our message out to people that you know. Although we're not located in your community is very much a big part of Shining Horizons. Our facility is on Redhead Road, east side of St. John, and you'll see in our video a little bit about it, and then I'm going to be very quickly explain how we've kind of grown over the years. Plus or minus on an annual basis, 10% of our participants and volunteers come from Grand Bay-Westfield. And there's two in particular. Our bookkeeper, who used to be on our board of directors, resides in Grand Bay-Westfield, and he's amazing. We wouldn't be able to survive the way we do without him. And another one who was near and dear to our heart was Rachel Quinn, who we lost last year. But Shining Horizons is also planning in September to have a special memorialization for Rachel. And I think some of you may know Pat's still up here on Brandy Point Road. So what we do is we provide therapeutic riding to persons with neurological, physical, and mental health disabilities. Yeah, if you can, we'll show the video. It's only about a 3-minute video. And it was a fundraising video, but it's good shots of the facility. We provide therapeutic riding to children and youth with both neurological and physical disabilities. And sadly, the province of New Brunswick is second in Canada for children born with disabilities.
Shining Horizons is a sense of normalcy for us. It's a safe place that we know our child is being taken care of and looked after. We've noticed a remarkable difference in Amelia since she's been coming to Shining Horizons, and we're so happy that a place like this exists for her to come to. Amelia loves it. She looks forward to Tuesdays. That's her day that she rides, and we can always ensure Tuesdays are a good day in our house. Less behaviors, less meltdowns. It's something that she looks forward to, and we look forward to it for her. She loves animals, and this just makes her happy. I enjoy volunteering here because I really enjoyed the children and the impact it has on them.
What brings me back to Shining Horizons is the smile on the kids' faces when they get on the horse.
I like volunteering here because I get to be around horses and I also get to help people.
My name is Kent Grass. I'm a longtime volunteer and chairman of the board here at Shining Horizons Therapeutic Riding Association. The program has been in existence for over 20 years now, but we have been here on site with our own facility for over a year and a half. As you can imagine, there are some hard costs to this facility. Things like horse feed, hay, bedding, vet care. The list goes on and on. Staff, we are very volunteer-centric, but we do have staff and have to have staff to make this work. A facility like this, a program like this will always have a need for fundraising. So I encourage you to come out, come see us, come visit, get a tour, have a look, and see what you can do to help us move this along and keep this growing within this great community. Because as you can see, the community has been a great help.
It's autism and epilepsy, and then of course he has a gross motor developmental delays. It's not just an activity, it becomes a piece of his history and his memory, no different than us. When you get up in the morning and on your weekend you look forward to camping and doing things with your activities. He has that same desire, that same emotional connection that we have to people, places, and activities that we do, and animals just seems to be that connection that he has. These kids struggle with the simplest of cognitive abilities, even taking the helmet off and knowing where to put that. And you see the ability to sit on a horse, to go on a road, outside. It's like Christmas. It's like Disneyland. It really is. It's much more than just this barn. It's like, where can I take him that he's not going to hurt someone, that he's going to feel joy like I do. If I wake up in the morning and have a coffee, that's joy. Where can he experience these things? It's really limited. You love your kids, right?
It's about helping the children. We need your support.
So that was a video that was done a few years ago. Shining Horizons has been in existence for 26 years. I left some brochures on the table over here that if any of you wanted to pick them up and take a look at them after. Can we go to the PowerPoint? What's that? Okay. So I hit that one. Okay, cool. So this is over. Our mission statement is to provide equine-assisted activities to persons, Southern New Brunswick, with neurological, physical, and mental illness issues. We want to create experiences that help people with disabilities enhance their physical, social, and emotional well-being. We started 4 or 5 years ago. This is what the facility looked like. We went through a capital campaign. There was a board of directors meeting prior to that. At that time, our wait list was extremely long. We knew we could never fulfill the need, being a part-time association offering sessions in the spring and fall. So we, through the blessing of this community of Southern New Brunswick, we raised a little over $1.7 million. And the facility is built and paid for and moving along strongly. Obviously, operations cost a lot. The horses, our horses are service animals. They're trained completely different than most horses. Every horse is trained to be led, but you saw in the video how they're encircled. It's very stressful on the horses to be encircled like that, and you also saw in the video that some of the participants can be a handful and can be quite emotional. Horses absorb all that, and they also give off that, which is why they help with the mental wellness side of things. Is this another slide? That's another slide of Amelia and I think Abby. I just like that picture, that's why I always put it in there. That's 2 of the horses playing halter tag. And then down, we have trail system that runs down behind our facility that we can take those people that could be in wheelchairs when they're up on the horse, if the conditions are well, we'll walk them down, take them right onto the beach. That's actually where the horizon part of Shining Horizons name comes from. It's rising above the horizon. And we also take the horses down and run them on the flat for exercise. Fundraising is a big part of our world. We've gone from the Turnbull Home Foundation through, I can't remember who was on the top, but we've even had some kids in schools involved in small little fundraisers that have contributed to Shining Horizons. And every dollar we do is a dollar needed. Again, local community fundraising. I'm not even sure who that is on the right. We have a strong connection with both UNB and NBCC. We work with their marketing classes annually, and right now we have one student through the UNB Experiential Learning Program, and we're working on a project now. I work with Dave Marshall at UNBSJ on another project for our business plan, our 5-year business plan. This is our RDA simulator. We call it Riding Definitely Awesome. The D stands for Riding for Disability. This is one of 3 in Canada, and it's with the RDA program. And that is in our facility with everything included with it because of the New Brunswick Children's Home Foundation, the Turnbull Home Foundation, the Sir James Dunn Foundation, and the Windsor Foundation. And that has allowed us to provide equine-assisted activities on a yearly basis because it's too cold in February, March, and January to actually use the indoor ring. We've got heat in there, and it's a lot of fun. The kids enjoy it. Again, this is just some shots of the kids in their group activities. And this is the last slide because I know we only have 10 minutes. So we have morphed over the last, we took our time through COVID to really look at where we needed to be. And one of the big areas is it's being recognized more. I don't think it's growing more, is mental wellness. So our therapeutic riding instructors are trained and certified by CANTRA, which is Canadian Therapeutic Riding Association. But we have gone through a process where we've trained our staff and select volunteers in what's called the TA method. So it's they are now equine specialists for mental health and wellness. So we are now offering, along with our equine assisted activities for therapeutic riding, we're offering Pony Pals, which you saw there. It's group activities for kids that might have anxiety problems. We can do individuals. It's called Horse Friends. We are working closely now with the Royal Canadian Legion to offer programming for the veterans. And we also introduced just recently a mindfulness and wellness program for team building. The KD, one of the departments of the KD Police Department is coming out to have their people involved in it, and it's yoga with the horses and things like that. So I haven't done it yet, so I'm not really sure about it all of it, but so the reason why I wanted to be here, and thank you for allowing me to be here, is I know, because I do this sometimes, get people to raise their hands, but we're not going to do this tonight. Everybody in this room knows somebody with a disability that we could assist. And I also know that out of Southern New Brunswick, I'd be shocked 10% of the population knew who we were and what we did. So spread the word. Social media, we're all over social media, like our Facebook, Instagram, we even got a TikTok, I don't even know how that works yet, but we're there. As for fundraising, we got a lot of things on the go. Next Thursday, we're doing an 18-hour broadcast live with Acadia Broadcasting. July 16th, we're doing an event up in the Belle Isle, Santa Maxwell. We have a golf tournament scheduled for October. We are going to have a very special day in September, which I mentioned about Rachel. We're just not ready to announce that yet, but we will. And we're doing a haunted house with Exhibition Park, a week-long haunted house in October. Our budget relies 70% of our revenue has to come from fundraising to subsidize the rides. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave. That was really wonderful. And I have to say that I have firsthand knowledge of how beneficial therapeutic riding is. I have a cousin that's very close to me that was a 24-week micro-preemie and has a number of issues, including cerebral palsy. And he benefits so greatly from the equine assisted therapy. It's just unbelievable. The days that he goes, it's like a whole different person. It helps him physically, emotionally, socially, and it helps his primary caregiver, my aunt, as well, because she gets the benefit of his happiness afterwards, and just the enjoyment of watching him have such a good time. So thank you very much for this. I just have a question. Are you currently looking for volunteers? Looking to expand your volunteer base? We're
always looking for volunteers. On our website, there is a section for volunteers, and there's a direct sign into our database. And we get so much to do. So, yes, we're always looking for volunteers. If it is a volunteer, actually, in regards to working with the participants on the horse, we have training sessions for sidewalkers and leads. And there's some specifics in regards to the leads that they have to have certain horse knowledge, but beyond that, that's the only really qualification.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for Stephanie?
I just have a quick question. It goes without saying that this program is amazing. My daughter was actually a volunteer there for a while when she was in high school.
What's your name?
Her name is Isabel Sutton.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, you mentioned that it's east. Do you have any plans to do satellite sites anywhere, like
No,
Okay.
it's, you can't trailer those horses, right?
Right.
So it'd have to be a permanent location. And right now we're growing within the new facility, and yeah, you can't see that in the near future. I will tell you though that there have been people approach us about that.
Okay. Great program.
Thank you.
Do you have any?
I mean, how many horses do you have?
Right now there's 7 horses, 1 pony on site. Of those, 1 is not ours. She's a call it park board. Her owner actually lives in China. She teaches English, and so we only charge her half what we'd normally charge, but we've trained her horse, which is called named pony, to be a service animal. So we use her when we need. So it saves us a little bit of money and saves her some money.
Did you reach out to the stores, like Sobeys or any place for like carrots or apples, like you want to throw away, or?
90% of my time, it's like I tell people, executive director means I get to shovel poop in the mornings and beg for money the rest of the day. 90% of it is on the fundraising side of it. There isn't a company I don't think in Canada that I haven't outreached to.
Yeah.
The other thing I will mention, if anybody'd like to come see the facility, the only thing I ask is the email and the phone number that are on our website. If it comes to me, just call it that we'll arrange a tour. It's just we like to make sure the tours aren't happening when the recession's going on.
Yes, absolutely. Do we have any other questions for Dave? Dave, thank you very
Thank you.
much. I will certainly spread the word and put a call out on my personal channels for people that are looking to volunteer for you. So thank you for taking the time today and telling us about the facility and the program. I appreciate it.
Thank you all for allowing me to be here.
Thank you. So the motion on the table is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the information as presented. Thank you, Councillor Bellmans. Do we have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, council. Item 8, minutes of previous meeting. 8A, regular council minutes of May 9, 2022. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of May 9, 2022. I have a motion. Thank you, Councillor Day. I have a second. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Any questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 9, unfinished business. 9A, Veterans Peace Park lighting. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield submit an RDC application for lighting at the Peace Park, and that any outstanding funding needs be either be collected from the public or forwarded to the 2023 budget process. I have a motion. Thank you, Councillor Day. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. John, can I get you to speak on the item, please?
So this came before council in April originally, and the Veterans Organization has been working with administration since I think March of 2021 or something like that, and they've been doing great work, and so they've identified a concept plan, and part of that is to install lighting that shines up from the ground, which would be just outside where the concrete sidewalk would be. And so we had an on-site visit, I'm going to say the beginning of May, though I'm not sure, and we just looked at the concept, how that might interfere with Christmas lighting, and how can we have room for both. And so we've been able to just adjust the plan a little bit. Basically, it's moving the arc forward, closer to the road, I think. Because at the end of the day, we just wanted to ensure that we can get a bucket truck in there to erect the string of lights. Further, there's been concern about, would we lose the Christmas lights? And what we can do is we can have the traditional strings everybody's used to one night, have other lights the other time, and these lights can be used at other in the Peace Park at other times. So what we're committing to doing is completing an RDC application and seeing if the project receives any funding. And then from there, either the Legion can do more fundraising, or we'll just refer to 2023 budget deliberations.
Thank you, John. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion?
Just one comment, Your Worship. as everybody around this table knows, this project is very dear to my heart. The committee has approached the town, as we know tonight. The particular funding that RDC would be applied for, it's only the town that has the ability to apply for that fund, where the town is the owner of the asset, i.e. the land. So this would be not able to be applied for by the committee or by the Legion or any service group. And speaking on behalf of the other members of the committee, I really appreciate the town's consideration for making that application, and we'll all keep our fingers crossed.
Thank you, Councillor Dawson, for the clarification, particularly on the reasons for making that application. That's important. And I just want to commend all the work that you and Corey Ryan and the rest of the Legion Committee have done on this project. I know it's a heavy lift, and it's going to be really incredible when it's all done. So
Good things take time, Your Worship, and this will be done over a couple of years.
yes, well, kudos to all the work and the commitment that you have. Do you have any other questions or comments? Councillor McIntosh?
I just have a quick question, maybe Councillor through the mayor. Do you know if there was more than one quote received?
Yes, there was only the one quote. There was only one major supplier of these in the Maritimes and in Brunswick in particular. So to meet a particular deadline for another funding source, we went with the one quote, and that one quote was accepted for the other funding source that we were successful with.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Council. Item 9B, solar arrays. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield accept the recommendation provided by Dillon Consulting Limited for award of RFP number GBW-22-3754 solar array project to the Smart Energy Company for $350,000 plus HST, with the removal of the delay penalty and removal of fencing, with confirmation from NB Power to proceed without net metering, which would permit a single inverter and fifth nor'easter unit for an 86 kilowatt system, or with net metering, a nor'easter 4 for a 70 kilowatt system. We have a motion. Thank you, Councillor Day. We have a second. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tuo. John, can I get you to speak on the motion?
So the original quote came in significantly over budget. Council tabled it with the expectation that we would bring it back on budget and hopefully on time. So my comments or commendations to the Development Officer Dillon and Smart Energy, who is present this evening, for working hard to do that. So the end result is that we've slightly reduced the project, the kilowatts. That's going to bring down the amount of greenhouse gas emissions and also the electronic or the electrical savings that we're going to have. And I'll turn it over to David to add any more details. I think he calculated how much greenhouse gases they're going to use.
Just to put it into perspective, the fund action plan that was adopted in 2019 was a corporate reduction of 7% overall by 2025, and that equates to 38 tons of carbon dioxide. The reduced project, if it is with the net metering at 70 kilowatts, would bring us down to 25 tons, and that's about 65% of our target rate. If we get through heavy power that we don't have net metering and can add the fifth panel, that would bring us back to about 80% of that target rate.
Thank you, David. For the newbies around the table and the people that are listening, would you explain net metering a little bit?
In the big picture, if they had, well, actually, just in our case, we were planning on basically generating about half of the amount of power required for the lagoon. If it was your own house and you were trying to be net zero, you would have to produce total amount of energy for that you're gonna use through the year. And obviously, the summertime has longer days, sunshine, and that's your production period. And that metering system allows you to build the system to the right size, but produce the power that you use during that day, during that or that month. Any excess power that you produce goes through to NB Power's grid, is used elsewhere, and you get credit for the amount that you produce over what you use. Then the remaining months where you might use more power that you do produce, you draw back on those credits through the year. And the way NB Power's program works is it's kind of like an equal billing thing. At the end of March, if you produce too much, well, do that. But it usually, but there comes in if you size it right.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that explanation. Do we have any questions or comments? Councillor Day, you're the pillar champion for climate adaptation.
Well, I'm very happy tonight that all of you worked together to make this happen. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the motion?
I just want to second what Councillor Dave said. I think I can speak for all of us. We're extremely happy. I think didn't want to have to table and put it back, so we're so happy to have it back here. And I don't think we can understate how important these types of projects are for the town. So thanks to everybody for bringing this back so quickly.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. The primary goal here is to meet or exceed our greenhouse gas target, and this shows commitment to taking action against climate change in a very real way. So this is a good news story. So do we have any other questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Thank you very much. And I just would like to acknowledge Jeff McAloon and other officials from the Smart Energy Company for being here with us tonight. So thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Appreciate
Looking
it.
forward to working.
Good.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to item 10 bylaws. 10A, rideshare bylaw number 125. First reading in its entirety. The Council of the Town of Bay-Westfield, under authority vested in it by Section 10 of the Local Governance Act of 2017 and amendments thereto, enacts Bylaw 125, Town of Bay-Westfield Rideshare Bylaw. Being a bylaw of the Town of Bay-Westfield to enable ride sharing within the town limits. Whereas Section 197.1 of the Motor Vehicles Act states, no vehicle for hire company shall carry on business or facilitate the offer of vehicle for hire services within the territorial limits of a local authority unless authorized to do so by the local authority. 1. If a rideshare agency is in good standing and licensed by any New Brunswick municipality, they can operate within the boundaries of Bay-Westfield. 2. This bylaw comes into full force and effect upon third and final reading. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Day. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Balcom. John, do you want to speak on this motion at all?
Thank you, Your Worship. The province changed their legislation 2-3 years ago. Fredericton has enacted it a couple of years ago, and now St. John passed it beginning of May, I think first week of May. So they contacted us to see if we'd like to get on board. And upon reflection, we decided to go the simple as best route. And really what we want to do is not create a barrier to entry for a rideshare program. Part of the Regional Service Commission enhanced authority includes transportation system. And when you look at St. John Transit, taxi service, dial-a-ride, carpooling, and now there's about 5 different options people can use aside from their own vehicle to get around the region. By doing it this way, if a rideshare company is licensed to operate in St. John, our residents can grab an Uber, as an example, uptown because they've had too much to drink, and make it safely home instead of being dropped off at the Workers' Rehab Center because the Uber can't make it into town. Likewise, they can call Lyft or get Lyft and go into town for something, maybe pick up the car the next day. So the whole intent is, how do we just facilitate service to our residents? And I should note, Your Worship, that at this time there's no Uber or Lyft available in metropolitan St. John. So this is just about ensuring that there is a service available, and when you take it in collaboration with the other 4 options, you know, there's a lot of viable options for our residents to use to get around.
Thank you, John. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion?
I have a quick comment. I really like the short and sweet approach. I think it was, I couldn't believe it. I thought there was pages missing from the bylaw when I first saw it. So it's easy to understand. I think it serves its purpose. So I appreciate this process we put in place.
So the assumption here, Deputy Mayor, is that St. John and Fredericton have done their due diligence. We've seen the bylaw passed by St. John. Council has seen that. I think it was in the package today. So I feel pretty comfortable with it. Let's face it, they're not going to pay us to pick up a few people. So.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Thank you, Council. Second reading by title. Ride sharing bylaw number 125. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. Do I have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Your motion is carried. Thank you, Council. This is a great step towards regional transportation, removing barriers to transportation. It's a move towards more robust economic development. You know, people are more likely to live a little bit further out if it's easier to get around, and this gives residents a way to get home from anywhere in the province. So. We're on to 11A. 11B. Oh, it's 11B. Sorry. 11B. I changed the letters on things. 11B, financial year to date. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the 2022 first thirdly financial report as presented. We have a motion. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. We have a second.
Second.
Thanks to Councillor Balcom. John?
Before I turn it over to a new CFO, Your Worship, we are feeling the pressure from inflation. We've also had some unexpected expenses, related to in-house review that we thought we could do internally, but we can't, such as what do we do with snow removal and snow and ice control, as well as Parks and Rec. So that had to be contracted out. That was unexpected. Now, just before I turn it over to James, let me just say that I'm concerned about inflation. I think inflation last time it was reported was about 6.4%. It's important to note that municipalities are legislatively bound how we can invest our reserves, and that's usually in government-backed bonds and stuff like that. So that's usually around 2% or less. So that means right now we have a 4% gap at least between what we what we're collecting. So to put this in terms, just for the sake of math, because when you add up all our reserves from all of our accounts, it's $2 million. Now we're losing 4%. So when you look at that 4% over 2 million, that works out to about $80,000. So that means this year, our purchasing power, our real money, is decreased $80,000. And if you want to know how much that means, that's about 2.5, almost 3 cents of our tax rate is going up, poof, like this in the air. So that's not nothing. That's a cause for concern on our part. The other thing is on operations. How can we mitigate that? Do we make purchases sooner, or what do we do? So internally, we are trying to address this, Your Worship, how we can do that. I was hoping today to email my colleagues, I didn't get to it, about what can we do collectively for what I'm calling inflation mitigation. And that's something that we have to be concerned about. It's not only, reining in our expenses, there's a lot of expenses that we just have to spend money on. But is there a way that we can spend smartly against inflation? And now I'm just going to turn it over to James. He's done all the grunt work, and I'll let him do his thing.
Thank you, Joe. Your Worship, so as part of the town's financial planning, financial review is typically conducted every quarter. Due to resource constraints, the review was not conducted after the first quarter in 2022. So we've prepared a report based on the first 4 months of the year as of April 30th, 2022. So in this process, each department provides detail. We provide them with details of the year they spend, and they compare that to their budgeted amounts for each of their accounts, and then they report back any foreseeable over expenditures or any potential savings they can see in their department. We collated their findings and prepared the report attached. It does indicate at this stage potentially a small budget deficit. This would equate to less than 1% of our budgeted expenditures for the year. Some of the key factors that contributed to this are new staff positions that started earlier than anticipated, increased IT charges related to enhanced cybersecurity protocols, and increased costs for diesel, gasoline, and propane. Areas where savings are anticipated, the budgeted development incentives, they will not be incurred until 2023.
Thank you, James. I just want to take a minute to commend staff for this proactive approach to inflation and management and mitigation, and and the potential that you're exploring with doing collective bulk purchasing with some of our regional neighbors, and hopefully we'll be able to realize some cost savings there. It's hard when the inflation is so high, and as an example, gas is $2 a liter, and I don't even know what diesel is.
It's over. It's 237 last time I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And things like and things like insurance are ballooning, particularly cyber insurance. It's difficult to stick to your budget when things like that are happening. So, like I said, I commend you for going at this proactively and seeing where we can realize savings before it becomes a problem. Do you have any questions for the CFO or the CAO?
Just make a point, Your Worship. I know there are some specific factors affecting the budget, which we highlighted, but it's comfort to me and to us as a council. None of these came as a surprise. We've been aware, we've been involved in these discussions. So even though there is a small variance, it's a comfort. We know we've been kept apprised. We know what's going on. So it's a good feeling for us that this is nothing in here is a surprise. So it's good to see that the proactivity and also the communication is great. So.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other questions or comments on the motion or report? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, John. Thank you, James. Item 11C, community vitality appointments. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield appoint Annie Dunn, Jessica Hughes, and John Taylor to fill positions on the Community Vitality Committee. I have a motion. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. We have a second. Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. We have, John, will you speak to the motion, please?
Community vitality. I think this is a fantastic committee, and I just wish we had more applicants. I know the council is very ambitious. We have a councillor who is impatient, wants to get going here, I forgot your terms of reference offhand, I'm sorry. But no, it's about organizing events. Could be bike rodeo, could be photo shoot areas that we have at Christmas or Halloween or Thanksgiving time. I don't want to call it Halloween. and other events. So no, this is a great thing. It's a fun committee. It's not like the planning and advisory committee. We have Councillor Belcom. But no, this is the fun stuff. And hopefully, when you do realign the committees, maybe Councillor Belcom will have some fun too.
That's it.
But anyways, yeah, so it's a fun committee.
Councillor McIntosh Lawrence is our pillar for community vitality, pillar champion for community vitality. Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, do you have a few words to say about how awesome this committee is?
Yeah, I'm very pleased to see the applications coming in, and I'd really like to see more come in. We'd like to hit the ground running and get started on some fun stuff. So get your applications in.
Thanks. Any questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. I want to thank Anne, Jessica, and John for putting their names forward, serving the town in this capacity. I really appreciate it. So, thank you. Item 11D, Vehicle Policy A002. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve an amendment to the Vehicles Policy A002, Clause 2.01 to read, non-unionized employees shall be reimbursed at the rates prescribed in the Province of New Brunswick's travel policy for municipal-related mileage, retroactive to May 1st, 2022. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Day. We have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Balcom. John?
Yes, Your Worship, this policy dates back to, I think it's 1998. And it used to read that it was tied to the rate that QP members receive. For us to change the rate for QP, we need to have a memorandum of understanding. And something like that, I typically wait for them to approach me for that. I'd be more than willing to do the same, Your Worship. It's an apolitical decision to reference a third party with the GMB to set the rate. And we just discussed, as part of the pressure that we're facing here, how much fuel has increased and also labor costs are going up as well. So this is just updating, and again, we're tying it to the GMB just like council mileage is allowed. And there's another thing I was going to say and I forgot offhand. James, is there something I forgot? I thought there was.
I think that pretty much was.
Okay. Yeah, so it was long overdue, Your Worship. So it's not tied to GMB increases. It goes up, if it goes down, it goes down.
Thank you, John. Do you have any questions or comments on the motion? I just have a question just for clarification. So we've seen here how inflation can go up really fast, and vehicle costs, vehicle maintenance fees, gasoline can go up and down very, very quickly. So the GMB rate is something that isn't static over a course of 5 years. It changes.
Well, I think you asked me that earlier, and I thought, yeah, it changes. But I'm sorry, I did come here from Saskatchewan. We checked it religiously April 1st and October 1st, and because it would fluctuate. So we're going to have to keep an eye on it. I can't say with certainty how often they adjust it up or down. I know other jurisdictions, they'll make a reference to the Government of Canada, or the CRA rate, and they're much more generous. Maybe my staff will throw tomatoes at me. I'm not sure that we're that rich to afford that rate, so I'm going with a more modest level, Your Worship, as a recommendation to council. And further, council only receives that mileage rate anyways. So we should be reimbursed more than council. So, but we are asking for something to be fair. And when you talk about all those costs, don't forget insurance.
Right, of course.
And vehicle insurance is going up as well.
Yeah, it's important that employees don't lose money doing business for the residents of the town.
Exactly, yeah.
Any other questions or comments on the motion?
The province rate doesn't go up that fast. And
They come down faster.
I've never seen it come down as a hospital employee, but I know it's not reviewed that often. And when I worked at Horizon, they encouraged us to not use our own personal vehicles, but to rent a car through discount. And that's how we paid for our mileage and whatnot. So
if we had a rental firm here, that would be great. We don't have a large fleet, Your Worship.
No.
We have one pickup that the work commissioner needs and uses, and then our work superintendent has one, and the rest of it is pickups and dualies and stuff like that.
Right, and we have students that use their own vehicles and things of that nature.
They did during the pandemic. Our students use their own vehicles right now for.
Yes, we have one that's, because we have a vehicle down right now, we have a student that's using their vehicle this week. But we do have, since COVID, a couple of students that do use their vehicles.
We do not have a large fleet.
Yeah, okay, for sure. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 12, bills for payment. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize the May 24th, 2022 bills for payment as presented in the amount for $121,825.80. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Beltran. May I have a second? Councillor Day, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? I can't look back at Josh. I just look straight at you, Stephanie.
I just have a couple. Number 3, street sweeping for 26,000. I'm just wondering if that's one time, how long it takes, how many employees do that?
So that's a one-time fee for the summer. And then if there is excessive buildup because there may be construction somewhere, we do have a broom on our, it's called the trackless, and that will go out and clean that area up. So this is contracted out, so that company was here 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
And they're here for 1 week, and they bring 3 machines. Street sweepers are actually pretty expensive vehicles. They're not cheap, so 26,000 is a pretty reasonable deal. And based on the weather here, unlike out west, there really isn't a need to have a street sweeper here. Out west, we had to clean the streets. It was always running just because of the dust blowing off the fields. That's not the case here.
So they're here for 1 week in the summer, at the beginning of the summer.
Oh, they were here 2 weeks ago. They're here.
Right, but just once.
Yeah,
For
just
one,
once.
for 1 week.
And then we have that brush
Right.
on the trackless.
I guess my question yourself, Your Worship, CAO. The main reason for the street sweeping in the spring is to get rid of most of the sand and grit that has accumulated over the winter time.
It's basically winter cleanup.
Mhm.
Yeah. The rain does a great job, but it's not sufficient.
Follow-up question, Your Worship.
Councillor Beltran.
I would assume that demand for that time of year for that type of equipment is quite high.
Mhm.
Do we have to reserve in advance for the next year?
I'm going to turn that question over to the Works Commissioner, Councillor Sorry.
Yes, when we go to tender, this is the one that I brought back in February, that there's a 3-year renewal. But in the original tender, it has dates, it needs to be done in the month of May. Because we need to have the sand off the roads in May, so then we can start doing the paving and line paving. So that there is a time frame that they need to be in. And again, they come in with 3 units of. And again, just for us going through, there's different types of sweepers, but we specify a vacuum sweeper, cut down on dust. Because there is mechanical sweepers, which create a lot of dust and a lot of headaches. So again, a little more, because again, those machines, the vacuum sweepers are more maintenance, more expensive. But that's the service we're looking for.
Thank you.
Your Worship, 1 year we didn't get them at that time frame. They came, I forget what happened, and they came later. And those that ride bicycles really complained, and we heard from them because of the sand and how unsafe it was. So that over the years we've learned to have it in at a certain time. So
It's as we move forward, I think we need to demonstrate a little bit more care, especially if we want an active community. Because when we talk about River Valley, we have a lot of cyclists that come through.
Yes.
And we really should be conscious of working with DTI about you know, what's the quality of the shoulders? Because that's where some of the problems is, or how broken up the road is, because that, you know, the sand is an issue, the brokenness of the roads, we talk about having an active community.
Yeah, thank you, John, that's a good point. It's, and with respect to the grit on the side of the road, it really is a hazard when you're a cyclist. So, and if our dream is one day that our kids are all gonna be biking to school, we need to keep that in mind when we're making these decisions as we go forward. Any other questions? Stephanie?
Number 35, market entertainment, $300. Does the town pay for this weekly for the summer?
Yes, so entertainment is provided on an ongoing basis, and I
For
think.
the market?
Yes, for the market, and then the summer program at Unity Park starts the last Wednesday of June, something like that, and goes throughout the summer. And all that coordination is done by one of our summer students.
Okay, but the market's not town-owned, correct?
Sorry?
The market isn't town-owned. We don't run the market.
We don't run the market, but we provide the
entertainment.
entertainment.
Okay. Okay, last one, number 69, advertising with the Westfield Golf Country Club, $4,600. What type of advertising does that pay for?
So when you go to the golf course and you rent the golf cart, and you see our logo on the front.
Are they on all the golf carts?
Sorry?
They're on all the golf carts?
All the golf carts.
Okay.
And the golf course prints them, we just give them the money, and they print them and stick them on the golf cart. And that included when we changed the decals, or our logo last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot.
It was before.
Yeah, so that's why I was wondering last year, the year before. And just for your further information, I encouraged the previous council to do a 2-year sponsorship deal, just to give the golf course a little bit more certainty and us cost certainty. And so I've spoken with them that I'd like them to come to us if they want a sponsorship deal again, to come to us during the budget season. And I'd be looking for something more like if we're going to do it, that would be multi-year instead of on an annual basis. That's pretty difficult on a volunteer organization. And likewise with some of our other partners like our VCC, that we move towards a more multi-year agreement rather than an annual basis. Provides them with certainty, and we know what our demands are when we begin our planning in August for the budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Councillor Bellman?
57, decals, installed decal, what was that for?
57?
Yeah.
Installed decals. I'm guessing that's that. And then the one in the reception area, Gary, would you, I think Nicole was looking at it.
I believe you're right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is it Andrew signed by Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They look great. And now that we have the name that we know we're gonna go by, we can finish it up.
There we are.
By the way, I'd like to compliment you and your team because the fresh out of the offices looks very, very good.
Oh, thank you. I was surprised to learn that it hadn't been done in most people's careers. So it's well overdue. And we've also, I'd encourage council to take a tour back there. We've changed offices too, so people moved around.
I have one further question. Her Majesty the Queen's picture, is that going back up or will that?
Yeah, that'll be, all our pictures are, I'm not sure, they used to be piled in this room until this morning. I'm not sure where it is now, but it's going back up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your worship, on another matter, but it's still about the Queen, I would encourage you maybe to consider sending her a letter of congratulations on her 70th year on the throne this year.
Thank you, Councillor Day. That's an excellent suggestion. We should do that for sure.
Okay. You can tell I'm a monarchist.
Do you have any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 13, consent agenda. 13A, council report. 13B, CAO plan report. 13C, Development Plan Report. 13D, Fire Services Plan Report. 13E, Recreation Plan Report. 13F, Works Plan Report. And consent agenda. Motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the consent agenda items for May 24th, 2022. Do you have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Second. Thank you, Councillor Day. Any questions or comments on the motion?
So on the main road, we required the main drag for potholes and stuff. Are we fixing the road on the main drag?
Oh, that's
Are we gonna fix River Valley and Erebus?
Yeah.
Yeah, so typically the Works Commissioner invests about $100,000 a year.
Yes.
Have you identified where you're gonna do some patching this year?
Yes, we have gone out and marked them and figured out quantities, and the order has gone out to our contractor, so we're waiting for them to look after that part.
Have they given us an approximate time frame?
They buy it.
Get the phone call, people
Yeah.
explain what the roadway's bad.
So, yeah, so everybody should know we spend about $100,000 a year, town's money, doing provincial work to ensure that our roads are in better shape than what they currently are. Just ask people to be patient. I drive the road every day, and there is a path through there. Some days I kind of wonder about though.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 14, council reports, my favorite part of every council meeting. We'll start with Councillor Day tonight.
I don't have anything to report at this point in time, other than the fact that I'm getting back on my feet, and I got really good news last week that I am now cancer-free.
Good.
So that's the good news.
Excellent council report, Councillor Day. I'm
Yes.
absolutely thrilled. And I just need to highlight that you've been dealing with this for how long now?
Be 2 years in October.
Be 2 years. And you've been serving the people
Yep.
the entire time. So,
You do what you get on with life.
yeah, you do.
And I have to thank the CAO because he planted a vision in my head on the days that were really bad, not knowing that I loved roller coasters but can no longer ride them, which is really sad. And I would, the days after treatment, be riding the roller coaster.
I want to thank you on behalf of the council and the people of Grand Bay-Westfield for serving them and serving us while you were going through cancer treatment.
Well, thank you. It's just life. Another chapter gone through. Now let's see what else we can get into.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Councillor McIntosh Lawrence.
I have a couple of things. We had the MBCC board meeting last week, and we learned that they received 5 grants for summer students. So if you have a student looking for employment or know anyone, contact Kelly Goddard at RBCC and get your application in. Tomorrow I have our monthly Funny Region Community Network board meeting, and I just want to put a little plug in for Dial a Ride. It's a program that anyone can utilize for a small fee. It will take you to medical appointments, to get groceries, and they're also looking for volunteers. They're in a great need for volunteers, so if you think that that's something you'd like to do, you can get your application in to Annie Dunn. She's our executive director, and you do use your own vehicle, but you do get compensated for that. The last thing is I attended an orientation session last weekend for the Memorial Cup, and for those of you that don't know, the Memorial Cup is the national championship for junior hockey, and St. John Sea Dogs were awarded it, so it's a huge deal for this area. They're looking for volunteers, and there's lots of things going on other than hockey. They have a music series. There's 20 to 30 musical acts in the port that are all free. They have another area called One for All. There's games and activities for all ages. So check it out. Go online. I think it's CHL Memorial Cup. Check it out and attend it if you can.
Thank you, Stephanie. That's a lot of good news stories, so that's great. Deputy Mayor Toole?
Thanks, Georgia. I don't have much either for this report, but what Councilor McIntosh Lawrence said kind of reminded me, and was just thinking, I haven't heard from people as much lately in the past few weeks as we did for the first few months that we were involved. And I just want to encourage everyone to reach out. And as you've seen tonight, we have a lot of access to information on volunteer activities in our community and different events going on. So being in these types of positions, we kind of get this information and we want to share it with everyone. So if you have any questions or wonder how you can get involved either with the town or broader, please reach out to any of us, and our information is all on the website. You can email us anytime, you can call the town, they'll get in touch with us. Just because we are here, so we have a lot of information. And I know there was the Dial Ride and the Shining Horizons, which are examples tonight of ways to get involved. And the Community Vitality Committee, I know Councillor McIntyre thinks is a lot of fun, so it'll be great to be on that committee. But even if you don't have the time for the committee, let any of us know your ideas or things you wish you had seen, you used to be in Grand Bay that you want to bring back, that a new idea or something you don't like, just let us know, because we're here for that info.
Thank you, Deputy. Councillor Balcom.
Thank you, Your Worship. I also had a very busy last couple of weeks. It's very nice with the nice weather. I'm looking forward to the next PAC meeting in early June. And I did have the pleasure today to represent with the mayor and council and the CAO and the chief financial officer to attend the State of the City's address. And it was nice, it was full. It was nice to hear our neighbors' vision and success, and more importantly, the number of times that regional collaboration was mentioned. That's very, very nice too.
So, Your Worship, I'm new here, just building on what the councillor is saying. That was the first in-person thing I've done with the chamber. So they did a State of the City address that organized by the chamber. Do they do one for Grand Bay-Westfield, or one for Rothsay, or one for Quispamsis, because we're all members and they're a regional chamber of commerce? Because I've not received any communication.
They have not done that in the past, but where it's a regional chamber of commerce, it might be something that we should look at in partnership with the chamber in the future. Should be a state of the region address.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Balcom.
It's been a quiet week, but month for me too, so, but other than that, I take phone calls from people, but I have another meeting tomorrow night with pro kids, so next week I'll have an update on a lot of things going on.
Yeah, well, I know, and you're always in contact with the residents, John,
I like to talk,
Yeah.
I love to talk to you, so.
Yeah, well, that's good, because then you bring back what people are really thinking and feeling, and so that's a really important connection with the community, so we really appreciate that.
They voted us in for a reason, right, so
Yeah.
trust them, so.
That's great, thank you. Now, I got in trouble last time because I tried to close the meeting without doing my council. So we won't do that again. I have it right in front of me, so I won't forget. So a lot's been going on both here in Grand Bay-Westfield and the region as a whole. One of the things that I do in my role is I sit on the UMNB Protective Services Committee. And this month's meeting, we discussed different models of policing globally, particularly the Queensland, Australia model for both funding and service. And that's relevant because the province is looking at doing a policing review for the province. So it's important that we have an idea of how the rest of the world handles regional or provincial or even federal policing. I've been speaking with different people in the childcare industry to determine the potential need for childcare spaces in our town. The changes coming with the new $10 a day childcare, and what the operators perceive as the opportunities and barriers are to generating more childcare spaces within the town. The lack of childcare spaces, particularly infant spaces, can be seen as a barrier to growth and a threat to community development, so we need to work with partners to resolve that issue. So what we're doing is we're proactively working towards understanding what the needs and gaps are here in the community, and we will be engaging the community in some of that process here coming up in the near future. I attended a fun thing. I attended an event at the St. John Airport, not last week but the week before, celebrating the inaugural flight out of the new carrier Swoop Airlines. Their class is an ultra low cost carrier, and they go from St. John to Pearson in Toronto. So it's a low cost way to take in the ballgame in Toronto, And the first flight actually came in from Toronto, so it wasn't returning St. Johners, it was people coming from Toronto to the greater St. John area and, potentially visiting places here in Bay-Westfield, which Memphis, and in the general region. So the more carriers and options people have to travel in and out of the region is better for tourism and for growth. So I wish them lots of success. I attended the second meeting of Crude Inc.'s Real Women Project. This is a project that has federal funding, and they've engaged stakeholders in the community and people in the municipal space. And the project is looking to hear real stories from real people of barriers to the ability to thrive. Once these barriers are identified, then the project can then provide recommendations to municipalities and other levels of government to help remove or mitigate barriers so that women, female identifying people, and other underrepresented population can succeed and thrive. I spent a lot of time with regional mayors working on initiatives of mutual benefit, such as, and to your point earlier, John, advocating for more money to be spent on provincially owned, municipally designated highways. As you know, the entirety of River Valley Drive and America's Road is not owned by the town, but by the province. So when people say, can you fix River Valley Drive? It's, we spend $100,000 of town money every year fixing a road that doesn't belong to us. So in the entire region, the province this year, the next 2 years, has only allocated enough funding for 900 meters of roadway in the entire Greater St. John region. So the regional mayors are working together to fight for more because it's important. It's an important investment in our region. It's not just the people in the region that use those highways. It's the people from all over the province. So we're an important region, and the investment is crucial. And I think that the last thing I did was I attended the special council meeting at City Hall where they announced their catalytic projects, and which was exciting to see the vision for the future that they have, because when the city is successful, we benefit from that as well. And along with Councillor Balcom and our CAO and our CFO, I attended the State of the City address, and it was nice to see the energy in the room and represent the town in that regard. And that's all I got for tonight. Does that make up for last week?
Sure. You're a busy Mary, Worship.
That's it, there we go. Okay, so we'll move on to item 15. Business arising from committee of the whole. There being none, we'll move on to item 16, adjournment. And the motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield adjourn the meeting at 8:14 p.m. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Bellmans. We have a second. Thank you, Councillor McIntosh. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Good night.